on Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out, we're talking about finding your voice. Do you know what an intuitive voice coach is? How can what happened to us in the past affect our voice? Would you like to learn about how to find your authentic voice? Let's continue our month focusing on back to school. Are you ready to clear your clutter and share your gifts with the world? Every Tuesday at 1 p.m., join me on Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out as I teach you how to navigate the waters to declutter your life, get organized, and become more mindful. I'm an award-winning professional organizer, author, and certified life coach, and I destroy the box and examine clutter in all areas. Every episode, I'll give you take action steps that you can easily apply to your life. Come on, let's get started. Quick reminder, everyone. Hey, everyone. I'm very excited. I'm going to be doing a new, wonderful offering, a Facebook mastermind for school success. It's going to include 30 days of Facebook support, my favorite, 2 90-minute live coaching sessions, as well as a class, an MP3 that you can listen on your own, all about building foundations of school success and clearing clutter and getting organized. Today's episode is inspired by the work that I did with Tracy. Tracy and I, she does a free consultation, Tracy Not Connected, and I began working with her immediately. I still would like to do more work on my voice. As you know, I'm a podcast host. This was a fascinating process for me. Working with Tracy has taught me so much. I needed to unlearn a bunch of things, and hopefully you've noticed a difference in the podcast. What's fascinating about the process is what we are taught, what we think is right to have our authentic voice be shown really isn't. So I had to unlearn a lot of things. For me, what was happening, how she would describe it, is my authentic voice would come up and then it just couldn't get out. It was locked kind of in the jaw area. It would kind of come up in the throat. And then because of bad habits or things I had learned, or because of some things, honestly, that happened in the past, making me fearful of sharing my authentic voice. It was really a fascinating process. And I thought, it's so important to be able to have our authentic voice and share that. I'm really thrilled with the changes that I've been able to incorporate. It's helped me with the podcast. It's helped me with interviews. I still have a lot to go. I still have a lot to learn. It was about retraining my voice and kind of muscles. We do some of these exercises and I was like, wow, got to take a breather here because you are stretching and using muscles in your throat and your jaw and everything in a new way. What a great time with back to school to talk about finding our authentic voice. You might be out there, know that you are an amazing, authentic person. That's not coming across. That's what Tracy helps you find. After working with her, I said, I have to have you on the podcast show. I think you would really resonate with our audience. And she's the first intuitive voice coach I've ever met. It's really fascinating how it works. And it was such a wonderful mesh with my kind of analytical side, improving myself, and then my spirituality side. Let me tell you about today's guest. Tracy Goodwin, owner of Captivate the Room, started speaking and winning awards at the age of 12. She later went on to become a professional actor and directed plays all over the world, all by running from her purpose of being a voice coach. Tracy has a BFA in directing and 2 masters. Over the last 25 years, Tracy has coached hundreds of people around the globe how to step into their voice power, sound more confident, heal their voice story, free their voice, and make a big impact with their message using a unique approach, the psychology of the voice that gets to the core of bad voice habits and changes them for good. Tracy teaches you how to speak in color, not black and white, no matter the message, the venue, or the size of the audience. Welcome, Tracy.
Oh, thank you, Julie. It's so good to be here with you today.
So, in your words, what exactly is an intuitive voice coach?
Someone who has, me, someone who has the ability to hear the entire voice story in every single sound that the person makes, every single emotion, every fear, every doubt, every single thing that we have laid into our voice from our voice story, from our psychology of the voice, to be able to hear that. I can hear it in a voice and I can identify what it is. I can say things like, what are you trying to prove? Why are you so cautious? What are you, a people pleaser? Because I hear it all over your voice. So I can take the tones and identify the backstory and then fix the backstory, which fixes the tone.
When you're listening to someone, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see, I know when working with you, because we work face-to-face over Zoom, are you hearing, are you seeing kind of what's your process? Because I can tell, and when we do exercises, you're listening, you're processing kind of what's going through your mind as you hear.
It's truly fascinating that I was kind of even shocked when I learned that I could do this, because I've been doing this for 30 years and I thought everybody could hear what I can hear. I didn't even learn until halfway through my career that no, people hear, but they do not hear to the degree. So there is a gift. I cannot call it anything but a gift. I am simply a vessel. And there is an ability that I have that's every tone that is in every voice tells me a story, probably like other healers work. They have guides, and the guide says, here's the timeline, or, here is this, here is that. I hear a tone, and every single tone, I have an identifying situation and emotion that I hear in it. So I will hear a certain tone. It's like an orchestra. Let me put it that way. It's like an orchestra. Every single voice has an orchestra. We all have a tuba. We all have a flute. I am able to identify that within the sounds, the full orchestra.
And for example, and we'll talk about, we can use me as some ways that you supported me. So one thing we worked on is I would tend to go, oh! And so someone who is what I'd call a regular voice coach would say, don't raise your voice. And you might say, are you trying to please people? And that would kind of be the big difference to me. You're getting what I would call the underneath, the underlying, the layers of subconsciousness, whereas a traditional voice coach would just fix the melody or whatever, the tone.
That's it, exactly. So spot on. And it's certainly no criticism to typical voice work, but typical voice work, it's like icing the unbaked cake. I cook the cake because I would hear that raising up and I would know how to fix it. But I would say your voice barrier is that you are asking for my permission. Why are you asking for my permission? And that is part of your psychology of the voice story. So what is cool is that we would fix it, but we would fix it in such a way where we also heal the story. And the thing about it is, Julie, why this is so cool is people hear this. They're not identifying it like I do, but it creates voice barriers, which I call the bulletproof glass. So they can see you and they can hear you, but they cannot connect with you. So they feel you asking for permission. And then in their mind, they say, well, if she's asking for permission, she must not be confident enough about her work. I don't think I'll hire her.
And all of this is kind of split second. It's not anything that most people are aware of.
No, it's all going on in the subconscious mind. And within the first 30 seconds that we hear a person's voice, 30 seconds, we're deciding everything about them. What kind of car they drive? Do they live in the city? Do they like cats? Do they like dogs? Did they go to the university? Am I going to work with them? Can I trust them? 30 seconds.
Wow, that's really amazing. how do our voices become, you would call it barrier, perhaps I would use the word clutter. So from the past, is that what causes our voices to become cluttered?
Absolutely. I have created a concept over the last 30 years that I call psychology of the voice. And I have no doubt, because I have watched it and watched it and watched it all these years, our experiences create our voice, starting from as early as the age of 3 or 4. So what happens is you're 4 and a parent or a teacher or a neighbor says, hey, shut up. Mm-hmm. That goes into your subconscious mind. Your voice, our voice is the orchestra of our heart. Mm-hmm. It's the most vulnerable tool we have. The subconscious goal is to protect that heart. So that shut up comes in. Subconscious says, don't worry, I got you. And it goes to work laying the voice into the muscle memory. You get those dings your whole life. So people show up to me at 40 or 50 or 20, and their sound is pulled back. Maybe they're not using a lot of variety. Maybe they've put in a lilt. Maybe they've done something like this. That was laid in from their experiences. And so it is emotions, but it's a story. It's the story of, I can't be bold. I can't be confident because when I was 7, that first grade teacher told me I'd never amount to anything. So I started talking like this. And people aren't thinking this. It's like, I just don't sound confident. You know what's wrong? Yeah. When you were 7, somebody told you to shut up. And I'm usually spot on. And it builds and builds and builds.
And we have no idea. And what I find fascinating about the voice psychology is when working on my personal development, my spiritual life, that's been a theme. Get rid of the story, get rid of this story, get rid of the story. Oh, so in something like our voice, we aren't even aware of it.
No. That's the mind bender. And that's probably what I love the most about my work is when I work with people, I often get this comment, I came to you to fix my voice. I didn't know you were going to transform my life. Because we don't think of voice that way. We think of it in the terms like you mentioned, I'm going to go in, I'm going to blow my lip, I'm going to overarticulate, I'm going to learn skills. And we do some of that. But what we have to do to make that stick, to change everything, is to tap into a new layer of muscle memory. Because, and this is what frustrates people that are, of course, everybody's smart, but analytical people, in their minds, they're going, this sounds so great up here. Why can't I make it sound, because when I talk, it's like banana, 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 but it sounds so good up here because you've laid a story into your muscle memory. And until you lay in a new one, you've got banana, 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 banana. You can't think your way through this.
What have you found are some common themes or common blockages that what would you say to that?
There are definitely themes. People pleasing is big. People pleasing, asking for permission.
Raise my hand here.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something. I could even break this down in what is very common. There are certain themes with men and even different themes with women. All right. But people pleasing is huge. Giving all the power to the words and being stuck up in your head because you have to perfectly get them out. Perfectionism, doubting, lack of confidence is huge. But the reason you don't have the confidence is because you keep putting the same product out. So you keep getting the same result back. You've got to put a different product out. Then you get a different response. And that builds your confidence. So people come to me and they say, I don't sound confident. I'm not captivating. I'm boring. So people they're working in a small flat box. They're not using much variety. They're keeping everything small. The biggest one is they have locked their sound in the back of their throat, in their jaw or nasality. They are protecting that voice from going out. Those are themes. With men, they don't play melody. Melody. Now, let me back up. Most men don't play melody. All right. Melody is where the trust is built. I have linked that back to the voice change. Their voice changed when they were 13. Some little girl or some buddy, and their subconscious mind said, don't worry. We've got you. we're never going to play pitch again.
Mm.
And they come to me and they're like, I'm flatlining. Yeah, you have no melody. Women have that, I got to please, I got to be cute, I got to be, because society has laid that in over centuries. Yeah, so there's definitely themes.
Are you tired of being stressed out every time school begins? Would you or your child benefit from being more organized? Ready to be on top of it all and achieve your goals? Our successful school year, get organized, clear clutter, and gain peace of mind, Facebook Mastermind community can support you. Begins September 6th. More information at reawakenyourbrilliance.com under Life Organization Masterminds. And we can talk about me, but this was a big thing I had to learn with you. So that was my issue, and kind of the voice getting stuck and stopping. And I remember you saying to me, I get you. You're the real deal. You're authentic, but it's like, and it's stopping. And so one thing you had to work with me on, I'd have Tracy create cheat sheets for me, and I still have them and use them, all these things to remind myself of the interview, but I had to unlearn a lot. I thought what I was doing was right, but it wasn't. You're like, we've got to back up the bus and retrain you and relearn. So why is it that we will do what we think is right, but it has the opposite effect?
I think it goes back to part of it is what makes sense in our mind. I should be able to apply this. I should be able to do this, that figuring it out, sorting it out. And I also think people aren't talking about what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Nobody's ever walked in my door ever in 30 years and said, I think I have a psychology of the voice story. Could you work with me? Every single human on earth, pretty much, their voice is stuck. Every single person I've ever worked with, their voice is stuck. That's the first mind blown.
Mm-hmm.
Does your sound feel stuck in the back of your? Yeah. How'd you know that? Because I hear it, because it's not flowing. If your sound isn't flowing, it cannot come across and touch my heart. We cannot create a connection. If we have no connection, you can't sell me anything.
And what's so fascinating, we use our voice for everything, whether we want to connect with someone romantically, whether we want to connect on a business level. People do business with people they like. People want to be involved with someone they like and hopefully fall in love with. And so it's just amazing to me. It's everything we use. And most of us are probably walking around with whatever trapped in some story.
Oh, for sure. And I hear that a lot from my people. I came to you because my business was suffering. I came to you because I needed to do presentations and they're traumatic and I don't sound good. But what it did to the story of me and my wife is mind-bending. What it did with me and my kids, because we hear everything. People, they're not don't be paranoid. People are not going, whoa, she's trying to prove something. They're not, but they hear it and they feel it. And so what we do, it's kind of like your last question. Why do we lay stuff in that doesn't work? And that's what we do. And it's like, I'm going to use an example here. Well, I'll go really fast. Because if I go really fast, I'll keep their attention. And so they'll go really, it's like we learned this in 3rd grade or something. I don't know who taught this, but it's standard, it's common. Getting loud in business, pushing at you in business. I got to make you hear me in business. You're pushing me away. Make me hear you in business.
I was I wouldn't say a complete, like a Seinfeld fast talker, but that was one of the things you worked with me on,
Mm-hmm.
until you pointed it out. And just before we were starting the interview, I was telling Tracy about a class on shooting, and the difference pre-Tracy, the same amount of slides, the same information. I would probably do the class 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, most now are 3 or 4. I've done nothing different. I'm just speaking more slowly, but it's made an impact.
Yeah.
And again, I wouldn't have recognized that. And the other thing I wanted to point out, she was spot on. I've done enough personal work that's kind of my lifetime. I'm clearing up a lot of my spiritual clutter. And she was right on. She didn't know me. There are things she couldn't have known from me, and was saying blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I've worked on a lot of it, but let's work on the voice aspect of it. And that's why I was like, I've got to have you on the podcast, because I'm so fascinated by this. And I don't know of anyone else in the world who's doing what you are doing. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because it's fascinating.
It really is. It really is absolutely fascinating. And I don't think people, and this is no criticism, but I don't think people recognize that the voice is the most powerful tool you have, if you know how to use it. If you know how to not do what everybody else is doing. If you know that you're pushing at me, that volume is pushing at me. Or if you can learn what those barriers are, that bulletproof glass. The point of the voice is that it is the tool that has the ability to touch my emotions. People give all the power to the words, and there's no criticism to the words. But I have a saying, Julie, the words are everything and they are nothing. It's how you bring them to life that changes me.
One of my notes is feel.
Yeah.
Feeling, and circle and underline and capitalize, and getting the feeling of what I'm trying to say. And that was a switch for me, because I'm a writer. And so I'm a really good writer. I love words. And, working with you, the feeling was in here. It was trying to get out on one level. I thought it was, but again, kind of retraining and doing that. I would love for you, if you're open, would you lead us in an exercise?
Oh, sure. But what kind of, okay, how about?
And I'll be the guinea pig. And one of the time Tracy said, your jaw's probably going to hurt after a few of these. And I have to tell you, some of like, and I'd wake up in the morning. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have my voice homework to do.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, because we've locked stuff into the muscle memory. And I see one of four ways. The sound is stuck. Your subconscious mind has stuck your sound, right? It is either stuck in the back of your throat. It is either locked in your jaw. It is either run through your nasality. And for many people, the voice is coming out. So my thought is, it's coming out, baby. Let's send it out beautifully. For many people, they have all these things, lock it here, lock it there, lock it there. And for some people, they get it all the way to the front, and then they even jerk it back. Mm-hmm. Because it's vulnerability. It's vulnerability. And at the end of the day, that's what we're avoiding. Hanging on to the words, not doing this, not doing that, laying in that. And that's how I learned. That's how I really learned that the subconscious mind laid this in to protect our heart. So I think what I might like to do, and it's going to be tricky with you because you've learned so much.
I still, you know what? I want to work with Tracy in the future, because I know there's so much more to learn. I mean, truly, I just find this completely fascinating.
Well, let's play with something here, and I'm going to try to give you a few clues to get you to do what I want you to do so that I can teach this one principle. And I want to say that the principle that I think I'd like to teach, I have foundation elements and I have flair elements, is what I call them. And I equate everything to cakes. Foundation is your cake. If your cake is not baked all the way, it's not going to be very good. Mm-hmm. And I usually start with foundation things, like your jaw was locked. That's a foundation element. Sound being stuck, that's foundation. Flair is the 5 elements of variety. We have 5 senses. That is how you affect my emotions. So I want to maybe play with the most powerful one here. Julie, would you maybe pitch something to me? Do you have a product coming up? Do you have something that a new service that you're offering, or something that you could just do me a little pitch for?
Sure. Actually, we're going to talk about that briefly at the beginning. I am very excited. I am going to begin a successful school year, which will include a 3 or 4 hour class. It's going to include 30 days of Facebook support, and my favorite, of the entire package is 2 90-minute group coaching sessions. It's about getting parents organized, kids organized, clearing clutter, and building a successful foundation for school.
Great. Okay, I just switched on what I'm going to teach. I'm going to switch to what I heard. I want you to, we're going to play for a minute here if you're good with that. I want you to say that again, and I want you to take in a breath, and I want you to whisper the whole thing. Whisper the whole thing to me.
I have done this before, guys. You can tell that's why I want to work with her again. I'm really excited.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
Big breath. Don't let it out. Don't let it out before you start. It started to seep out before we started. And that was that subconscious mind going, vulnerability alert, right? So taking a breath and whisper.
See what I do for you guys? I put myself on the line for this podcast. Okay. And deep breath, and then you want me to hold it and then go?
Yeah, release it in the whisper.
Okay. I'm really excited. We have a successful school year coming up. It's going to include a 3 or 4 hour class, 30 days of Facebook support, and my favorite 2 90-minute live coaching sessions, all about school success, getting organized, and clearing clutter.
Excellent. Now do it again normal. Take in a breath and then do your pitch.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm very excited. I'm going to be doing a new wonderful offering, a Facebook mastermind for school success. It's going to include 30 days of Facebook support, my favorite, 2 90-minute live coaching sessions, as well as a class, an MP3 that you can listen on your own, all about building foundations of school success and clearing clutter and getting organized.
Beautiful. And first I want to say, well done for putting yourself on the line and being willing to be vulnerable, because that's how you get to the other side. Could you feel a difference in that?
I could. And, you know, we worked together, we finished working together a couple months ago, and the challenge is, again, to remember all this, and because it's still on some level somewhat new, remembering, like with the breath, and we had done the whispering exercise, you can. And I'll be the first one to say, I am still working on being more vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, and Julie, breathing is the toughest thing I teach, which I think is hilarious, because it's the second, breathing and our heart beating are so automatic. But what happened here is I got you connected to the breath, and that's not something anyone teaches. They will say to you, oh, you got to remember to breathe. That's never going to happen. It's like you're saying, breathing is a slow burn. I call it a slow burn because what we have laid into our body is brace mode. Hold it down, keep it locked. Here they come. We're in brace mode 24/7. We've laid it into our muscle memory. So by reconnecting to the breath, reconnecting to the breath, reconnecting to the breath, we can lay in a new layer. What that did for you vocally was a big shift, primarily because I was able to connect to you better. But the cool thing was breath to the voice is like fuel to the car. You added in that breath, released it with the words, so that gave you a vulnerability that allowed me to connect with you. There was no edge, but you had more organic variety. It was more fun, and it was this, and it was that, and it was cool. And variety, vocal variety, is what touches my emotions.
Yes.
So that was great.
Thank you. And I think I'll be copying and pasting that and putting it at the beginning instead of probably what I pre-recorded. I wanted to ask you, one, if there's anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share, but I like to have people, my guests, give 3 action items for people to take away, because what's important to me in this podcast is I want you to listen, I want you to watch, and then I want you to take action. I want you to move forward. This is to change your life.
Right. All right, let's start with one of the biggest problems for everyone, but especially analyticals, perfectionists, and control freaks. Right. And we're all one of them, maybe all three, right? And that's not a criticism. It's just the nature of the beast. You got to get out of your head, friend. You got to get out of your head. You're so worried about the words that you have disconnected from the message. What is the message? You've got to get in your body. When you are in your head, you are disconnected from your body and your voice. Where is your heart? Mm-hmm. It is not in your head. You're worried about the words, getting the words right, perfection, words. Connect to the message. If we were to go back to that sales pitch and I said, connect to the message is, I've got something that can change your life and I want to share it with you.
Yeah.
So you tap into that message and the words will be there. The words are there. You're the expert. The words are there, right? So I think that is a huge one. Connecting to the message, get out of your head. I think that breathing is very important, but it is a slow burn. And so what I might suggest as an action step is start catching yourself not breathing. Mm-hmm. You will be absolutely blown away that you hold your breath as much as you do. When you go to the store, when you're in the car, when you're at your desk, when you're cooking dinner, just become aware and you will see that you're breathing, because you would die if you weren't, but you've got the death grip on that sucker, right? Catch it, take in a breath. Catch it, take in a breath. Catch it, take in a breath. And I think that the last tip I would give, or technique I would maybe suggest, is stop relying on speed. Many people rely on speed. Many people rely on slow. What we want to do is we want to recalibrate that to what I call a 5. 1, you're asleep. 10 is you're an auctioneer and you're going for. We can't connect to either because they both become predictable. Predictability is your problem with captivating your audience. When you set the standard, I know what she's going to do. If you go too fast, I know what you're going to do and I can't keep up. If you go too slow, I know what you're going to do and I'm bored. I got to see what's going on Facebook because this is more interesting. Pay attention to your speed and consider recalibrating it. If you are going too fast because you think that is how you are going to keep your audience's attention, I have to tell you, that will never happen. If you are going so slow because you are worried about them understanding, that's never going to happen. So discover what your speed is. And you may need to ask somebody because our perception is very tricky. What we perceive we're doing is usually not what is being received. So give someone, this is a scale of 1 to 10. 1, you're asleep. 10, you're an auctioneer. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to speak to you. Tell me what you think I am. I think you're a 7. And you might be thinking, whoa, I thought I was a 3. Mm-hmm. And then you know that you need to slow down and you can recalibrate that. You can practice slowing down or you can practice speeding up. And that in and of itself helps to keep the connection.
Fascinating. Now, Tracy, please share with us where people can reach you, find out more information, or if you have anything else that's going on that you would like to share.
Sure. You can pretty much find everything about me. My website and my company name is Captivate the Room. So it's captivatetheroom.com. I also have a podcast, Captivate the Room. And I guess the next thing that I have coming up, I have a voice on video and live stream course that's going to be, it's a live, like you work basically one-on-one with me in a small group of 6 people. That'll be rolling out in about 2 weeks. And then in the fall, I'll do a psychology of the voice online course where we really get to the bottom of what's your voice story, what are your voice barriers, because they are the thing that are keeping you from catapulting your success. And I talk about that a lot in the live stream course as well. But that's pretty much the best place to track me down.
Well, thank you. It's been wonderful. I appreciate you coming on and sharing all the good stuff with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Julie.
On our final episode this month, we're going to be talking about delegating. Go out, clear the clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. Are you ready to live a more joyful and fulfilling life? Sign up for our newsletter at reawakenyourbrilliance.com and receive a free copy of 10 Steps to Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love it if you would rate and review the show because it really helps us in the search ranking. See you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Remember, when you clear your clutter, you can create the life you desire.